let's get into our first topic. And that is really tools that help me as a one person marketing team, help me with a lot of my different marketing tasks and marketing tools, and especially things that help me run my business a little bit smoother. And so with a lot of, marketing campaigns within this industry, they're primarily fueled by people similarly in my position. They're one person marketing teams. They're likely either one person entrepreneur that or a small team, or maybe it's something that happened to me first in my career when I got into the freight industry, where I was the receptionist, I was the executive assistant, and then I was also tasked with all of the marketing responsibilities for the company. So if any of those roles feel like you, or feel like somebody within your organization, then this is going to be a good roundup of tools to use to help streamline a lot of your different marketing processes. But with that said, these are just tools that I have found useful because, frankly, I've spent a lot of money and a lot of time over the last 10 plus years in this space and trying to find tools that are worth their weight and worth their time and money investment, because that's where a lot of challenges come into play. Is that we hear and we see a lot of different marketing tools that are available, and they sound really good. They sound like something like magic that's really going to help you streamline your marketing, only to find out later on that it just was a complete waste of time and money. So knowing that, it's really important before you add any kind of software or any kind of tool, especially the ones I'm about to talk about, is to map out your own processes first and then figure out where technology plays a role, because you might not need that fancy new software that's going to cost thousands of dollars and probably likely take you, a few months in order to learn how to implement it. So with all of that said, let's get into the first tool that I absolutely love that helps me as a one person marketing team, and that is ClickUp. ClickUp is one of the most important tools that I use to run my business. It's really the single most important tool that I operate everything out of that platform. And it's essentially a project management tool where I can organize everything from ideas to multi-month projects. And you can do everything from manage contractors, team members, there's file storage, there's note taking, there's automation. Basically, you can have your entire team on this project, and you can have different automations set up. You can ask some of the production crew from FreightWaves that how all the notifications that they get when I'm in there making a show plan, or future setting up future interviews and future topics to talk about on this show. And so knowing all of that, there's a few use cases that I wanted to highlight. That's making your ideas actionable. Like, it's really difficult that as a creative person or as an entrepreneur, you have a lot of ideas. How do you get the ideas out of your head and onto a system, in a system that can make those ideas actionable? And that is ClickUp for me. It helps me make my ideas actionable. There are a couple other use cases. I mentioned interview coordination. I reach out to a lot of people in order to schedule guests far in advance so that we can make sure that we have proper time to do research on the topics that we're bringing them on for. So I typically will do these planning sessions a few weeks out from a scheduled show date. So that interview coordination just helps me keep a record of people that I've reached out to, that I haven't heard from, that I have heard from. So that's a use case for it. Also, content post-production and the distribution process. We talk a lot on this show about how content marketing, 80% of your content marketing should really be on the distribution side of things, while 20% should be on the creation side of things. So content post-production, so the editing, the getting a blog post up, sending it out on an email newsletter, those kinds of things are all done within the ClickUp system. And then also project and business roadmap creation and tracking. If I have an idea, I don't want to get distracted and I've done this before where I have an idea and I go tell my development team that, hey, let's make this idea a reality. And a few months later, I'm knee deep in this project and I have no idea what the end goal was going to be. So this system helps me identify and take those ideas and just keep a place to store those ideas and not just run with it without actually vetting the idea in the first place. So ClickUp is by far my most crucial tool. I use it probably a half a dozen times every single day, so cannot recommend them enough. The next tool I want to recommend, it's kind of a gimme, but it's so crucial to every part of my business as well, and that's Google Docs. I run my show notes off of Google Docs. I probably write, I don't know, anywhere from say 5,000 to 10,000 words per episode in order to make sure that I'm getting enough research in. So Google Docs is a great place to collaborate. It's also a great place where I list out, a lot of different B-roll that, working with the FreightWaves team that I'm able to link to pretty easily. We're able to collaborate. We're able to add comments to different sections without it, kind of overtaking the document itself. So that's another one. There are other few ways that you can use Google Docs that you might not have even thought of. Say maybe you're not a really good writer, or you just prefer to speak to text and you prefer that function. Google Docs has that feature as well. So you could use their dictation feature and you could just speak into a microphone and Google Docs will spell check. They will type out everything that you say. They have, some smarter tools that will correct, the grammar and the spelling of the things that you're telling the system that you want to have in the text that you want on the Google Doc itself. So we mentioned collaboration mode. And then also one of my favorites is making a research document that I can use on the plane and then turning it offline. So you can make that document available offline, because if you've ever tried to use, the in plane, especially on a flight, like you buy the Wi-Fi, this like go-go Wi-Fi, and it's crap. It's really like the worst thing. You might as well just like not have any internet whatsoever. And an application like Google Docs is just not going to load. It's not going to function properly. If you try to just run directly off the plane Wi-Fi, it's crap. So what instead you should do is, before your flight or while you're in the airport, go to that document, turn it into offline mode, and then everything that you type into that document while you're on the plane or while you're doing some additional writing, or whatever you're doing within Google Docs, at least it will save it for you and you can work off that application. And then when you land, when you get a better signal, then it will automatically save and allow that collaboration to take place. So now that's Google Docs. Next one up on the list is ActiveCampaign. ActiveCampaign is an email marketing tool that really specializes in automations. And email for me has been on the back burner for too long. I noticed over the summer when I was having my sort of like come to Jesus moment when it comes to like analyzing my business, which I do like twice a year. I have a come to Jesus moment where I look at what's working, what's not working, and my distribution for my content. I was focused really heavily on social media, and then I wasn't really focused on email a lot. So ActiveCampaign has really helped me with a lot of different automation campaigns. And what I mean by automation campaigns is that when someone signs up for my email newsletter, I want them to get a notification that, hey, this new podcast has dropped, or hey, a new Cyberly episode has been dropped. And I want them to get that email notification immediately. So through my different tools that we have set up through the website that connect to ActiveCampaign, we're able to send those out automatically. So that's what I've been prioritizing over the last couple of months, is building out those different functionalities, training myself up on the platform so that I can create these campaigns myself, get them rolling, and then also set up some additional automations where, say, for example, I send out a notification, hey, we just dropped this new podcast episode. If someone doesn't click on a link to listen to the episode, or maybe they just delete it, or maybe they just open it and never do anything, or maybe they don't ever open it at all, you can set up different automations to resend that campaign, because things happen. People get busy. They're not likely to, always be waiting, not likely at all to be waiting, with bated breath for your email to come through. And sometimes people, especially if you're like me, you treat email like a to-do list. And so if you have emails within your to-do list, sometimes you just delete them. But with that setting with an ActiveCampaign, I can resend that campaign to anyone who didn't open the email, who didn't click on any links, and then with hopes that, maybe I'm catching them at a better time the next time I send it. So those are a few. There's way more automations. They also have a CRM capability, which I've transferred my entire CRM platform over to them as well. Connections with all of the different platforms that I use. It's really great. So ActiveCampaign, I have been loving. Now, the next one, I've mentioned this one a few times on this show periodically, and that's Copy.ai. As a one-person marketing team, I cannot stress it enough how much this tool helps me. And a lot of flack can sort of be given to, one of these AI writers, because that's essentially what this is. They're an AI writer. You take a few different bullet points and you input it into their system, and they spit out a bunch bunch of different other ideas that, maybe you would want to use or maybe you don't want to use. If you're watching on the screen right now, you can kind of see a demo of me using this product. And what it helps me with is that maybe I have a new landing page that I'm creating for the site. I have a few bullet points that I really want to hammer home. And so I enter the few bullet points into the system and it will spit out a bunch of different text variations of that same text that I've already inputted into the system. So it's basically like another set of eyes on the content that you're already creating. And if you even if you're not like a very skilled writer, maybe you just want to have some ideas for, social media posts or an email newsletter or an email sequence that you're going to send out to prospective leads and things like that. This tool can also help you with that as well. I know a lot of freight brokers out there are working as essentially, one person shows, and their marketing team helps them, a little bit, but they're more focused on other areas and they might not necessarily have time to create an email marketing campaign, for every salesperson within the organization. So if you find yourself, having ideas like that where you want to come up with your own email campaign, if you want to start posting to social media, if you want to do all of the things when it comes to marketing, and you don't have access to other writers or other editors, Copy.ai is a really low cost, affordable solution. I think it's like $400 for the entire year, and you can use it just over and over and over again. Highly, highly recommend that tool. None of the site. I should note that none of these tools are paying me to say this. I'm an active user of each one of these tools, so I speak from experience. Now, with copy.ai. So we talked about that one. Next up on the list is Canva. Now, Canva, you might have heard the big news with Adobe buying Figma last week, which is a big deal in the creative world. But I would argue that Canva's news last year should be even bigger because they're known as a graphic design tool. And that's where I use it for, I can say brand templates. I can have different logos and colors for different brands, and I can have them automatically, saved and created and stored within Canva system that makes editing photos really, really simple. They also have a ton of templates that help you, kind of like copy.ai, they help you give that extra, sort of oomph when it comes to your creativeness. You might come to Canva with an idea and you want to see it expounded on. And so using that platform, you can really go through all of their different templates to find the different, the styles that you like that fit within your brand. And then you can use those tools and you can save those different graphics that you're creating as a template so that you can quickly reuse in the future. They also have a really cool resizing tool. So if you create an image that is really great for Instagram, then you can automatically resize it into Twitter or Facebook or any of these other different, social media sizes. There's so many, but Canva has it all stored within the platform. That is what the platform existed before the news that dropped last week. So with the news that dropped last week, Canva has now added the ability to have a website builder. So if you are interested in like a Squarespace or a Wix type, beginner style website, then those different tools should be shaking in their boots right now because Canva has just created a way for you not only to build a website on their platform quickly, but they do it in a way that you can buy the domain and you can get hosting all within the Canva platform. So if you're already creating your graphics in one area, then you can quickly add them to your site all within the same platform. So yes, the website builder, great news. They also announced whiteboards. So you can kind of have that collaboration again, like we talked about with Google Docs. Speaking of Docs, they have a Docs functionality too to help you kind of spruce up and liven up your documents. So it's pretty clear that Canva is kind of coming for that office suite of technology solutions, but in a more creative way. You can kind of tell that, with Microsoft and with Google, a lot of their different platforms are more based around just, I don't want to say like the developer model, but it really is sort of like developers created this versus Canva, where it's very clear that a designer was the one who came up with this platform first, and then has a really strong focus on overall just stuff that looks good. So that's another one. So whiteboards, docs, also print on demand. If you come up with a design that you really like, especially a lot of drivers out here, especially a lot of trucking companies, if you're making a lot of graphics, for Truck Driver Appreciation Week, they now have a print on demand functionality functionality where you can come up with your designs and then you can send them off to be printed on a t-shirt, to be printed on a coffee mug, or really, anything that's in their print on demand store. So that was another one. And then my personal favorite is the video editor functionality, which they're going to be adding more features to this platform soon. But one of the bigger things that I think is really important is that with the video editor, you can take footage, any of your footage or footage that's already available for free to use within the platform, as long as you have a pro account, and you can remove the background from the video. And it allows you to take maybe a phrase, say you can use, my face, for example. So with this particular video, I could cut out everything in the background and take this video of me talking and my face, and then put it on another video background. I think it's a lot of fun. I've been playing around with that tool as well. It's really a creative suite for the modern day marketer. And so if you haven't jumped on Canva yet, go ahead, give it a shot. They have free accounts that you can go and try, but some of these tools you might have to have a pro account to use. But even a pro account is $120 a year. That is a bargain when you think about all of the additional tools that you'll have access to. And I mean, a video editor in general, if you're buying that kind of software, is at least a couple $100 every single year. So if you can kind of bundle some of the things that you're looking for, or some of the tools that you're looking to experiment with, Canva is the one that's going to make it the easiest for you. It's the most affordable, and I guarantee you're going to get the most bang for your buck. So those are a few of my different tools that really help me, that I use on damn near on a daily basis, especially when it comes to ClickUp. But hopefully you liked a lot of those different tools.